Welcome to Beyond the Game More Stories, the podcast where we explore the lessons sports teach us about life, leadership, adversity, and just growth long after the final whistle blows. I'm your host, Dwayne Lightfoot Jr. On this show, we sit down with athletes, coaches, parents, and just leaders just to have real conversations about the different moments that shape us, the different challenges we experiences, the victories, the big ones, the small ones, the setbacks, and just ultimately the experiences that stay with us long after the scoreboard goes dark. All right, let's get into today's episode. Today's guest, coming from Ellicott City, Maryland, she built a strong foundation long before stepping onto the college field. At Glenelg High School, she was a multi-sport athlete who competed at a high level in both lacrosse and track, earning all-county honors in track, including third team as a junior and second team as a senior, while also making 3 state appearances. On the lacrosse field, she was a part of a program that consistently competed at the top, helping lead her team to 3 county championships and regional final appearances while earning honorable mention recognitions during her career. And beyond athletics, she showed that same level of commitment in the classroom as a 4-year honor roll student and National Honor Society member. That balance of discipline, consistency, and drive carried her to the Division I level at High Point University, where the game gets faster and the competition gets tougher, and every role has to be earned. Early in her college career, she embraced the grind, earning playing time as a freshman and continuing to develop her role into that program. By her sophomore season, she had began making a bigger impact, recording career highs and showing flashes of what she's capable of. But what makes her story more powerful isn't just the stats, it's the development, the willingness to stay ready, to keep improving, and to find the confidence in the journey. This is a conversation about growth, identity, and just what it takes and means to keep showing up. So let's go beyond the game and get into her story. Please help me welcome High Point University women's lacrosse attacker Sarah Johnson to the podcast. Good evening, Sarah. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. So, first off, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know as a student athlete, your schedule is busy. You got classes. I know you guys are in season right now. So, I just really thank you for taking the time to sit down and do this. I wanted to hear your story and be able to share your story. I think it's going to be a really good one to hear.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Anytime. So, all right. So, as we kind of get into this, before I jump into all the different accomplishments and the highlights and everything that people see on the surface, I always like to start here at the very beginning because on this podcast, it's about the person, not just the athlete or the player or the coach. So, to set the table for everybody listening, if someone were to only know you from the introduction that I just read or just the different highlights that they see, or if they were to Google you or look on your social media, what's something that they don't know about what it took to get you where you're at today?
I think something that they wouldn't know is that there's a lot of behind the scenes that happens when it comes to playing at this level. There's things that I had to do, go through the hard things at a very young age to get to this point where I am right now. A lot of times where you don't want to get up and do that extra work or have that 6 a.m. practice or go out when it's cold because lacrosse is mainly played outdoors and it sometimes the weather is not very forgiving, but yeah, I just think that all the behind the scenes work, I mean, no one sees that. Everyone just sees the execution and the numbers. So, yeah, just grinding behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize when you talk about, like you said, at a young age, you're doing this, you decide, hey, you get a lot of kids that are just doing it out there for the fun of it, but when you decide you want to take this serious, like you said, it is those 6 a.m. workouts, especially when you get to the level that you're at. And again, you play an outdoor sport, and you are in again. You're from Maryland, but you're now in North Carolina. I live in Florida, so you deal with cold weather. Sometimes you're gonna have to, your training is gonna be outside, and you're fighting rain and snow and wind chill, and that's why I played an indoor sport. Right, we get heat and air conditioning, so I do not take well to the elements of outside. So, but again, I like you saying that just that hard work. Nothing in life is that's worth achieving is going to be done easy, and a lot of times people don't realize the different workouts that you have to do and the sacrifices that you have to make. Not to be great, but just to even be good at your sport. I'm sure your story is probably very similar to mine. Growing up, you had practices and trainings, and you had to miss birthday parties and hanging out with your friends and TV shows and all of that just because you wanted it, right?
Yeah.
And that behind the scenes work is very, very important, and that is something that, again, I'm not going to age myself. We talked about that off the record, but that's something that the generation that's coming through now doesn't always understand. It is about those 6 a.m. workout. It is about getting up there, running a couple of miles. Somebody out there is running 2 miles, but you decide to run three because you want to get better.
Hmm.
So the behind the scenes work is very important. So
Hmm.
if you take me back to the beginning, right? Who first put the stick in your hands, and how did you first get involved with lacrosse? Because again, in our community, lacrosse is not one of the first sports that we come across.
Yeah, so actually, my uncle, my mother's brother, he played Division 3 lacrosse in college at Hobart College. And he actually also went to Glenelg. Glenelg's a very old school. And that's where he learned how to play lacrosse. And he was so good that he ended up playing in college. And I'm like the youngest of all of our cousins. So like my older cousins played lacrosse. My sister played Division 1 lacrosse at Liberty University. My brother
Mhm.
played lacrosse. So when it came time for me, I mean, I picked the stick up. I think I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I was pretty young. And I also, being from Ellicott City, right outside of Baltimore, is the hub of lacrosse. Like besides maybe Long Island, Central Maryland is the biggest hub in the country for lacrosse. So it was always there right in front of me. So he gave me my first stick, and I started off playing rec lacrosse in elementary school. And then because lacrosse was so big in my area, I played club lacrosse from a very young age, which was not common when I was playing. It is very common now for kids to start club lacrosse, even second and third grade. When I was playing, you played rec for at least 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 before you started playing club. But I played on a club called Heroes Lacrosse, which is very popular and one of the top clubs in the country. We were the first age group to start so young. I think I started club lacrosse in fourth grade. We were playing against fifth graders and sixth graders. So we got the experience from a very young age. But yeah, it all started then.
Okay, yeah. So it's a family thing, and
Yeah.
that is, you have built-in trainers, you have built-in competition, and that, especially like you said, being the youngest one, it's all set up for you to be better than all of them. Because again, you're out there. I guarantee you, if your family's anything like mine, they didn't give you anything.
Yeah.
They pushed you around. They
Hmm.
didn't let you get a shot off. They knocked your stick out of your hand. They did all of it. That most of the times you were just out there. They probably didn't even pass you the ball if they're anything like my family
Yep.
when you're that little. But but that passion that you had built in immediately, like I said, it's genetic to you guys, and that is very awesome to hear. So like I said, you also did track. So tell me a little bit about that. How'd you get on the track? What all events did you do?
So my dad ran track and cross country at Coppin State. So he kind of started the track, I guess, journey in our family. And my sister ran track. He was actually my track coach. But I started doing they had this program when I was in elementary school called Little Striders, and it was cross country. And my dad was more of a long distance runner, and he always wanted me to run long distance, but I never got into it. I would run like 3 miles and I would hate it and complain. So I never really thought like running was my thing. But then as I got older, he started to see it's like, oh, she's pretty fast, pretty quick. She must be a sprinter. So I never really thought about doing track until it came to my freshman year of high school, and I decided that I wasn't going to play basketball. I was going to run track. So I started off track in my freshman year, and then COVID hit. So I did not have a sophomore year of track. And then my junior year was when I think really started to realize that I was like really fast, because in the area that I grew up, again, there's a lot of fast people. I was running against Division 1 track runners. So I was just like the lacrosse girl to them. I wasn't even like a track runner. These girls were running track all year around. In the summer, I was doing club lacrosse in the summer. I wasn't focused on track. So it was a whole different journey for me trying to see where I fit in to track. But yeah, it was amazing. And my senior year, I qualified for nationals, which was a crazy experience. So yeah, it's been very
Yeah.
rewarding.
Yeah. It sounds like it. So what events did you run?
I ran, so I ran indoor track, and in
Hmm.
Maryland, there's not like a 200 as an individual event. So I was on the 4x2. I ran the 300 meter, and I ran the 55 meter.
Okay. And
So
which
yeah.
one did you qualify nationals for? And how was the nationals experience? What lessons were you able to take from that to help you as you move forward with your sporting career?
So in nationals, they run the 60 meter instead of the 55. So I qualified for that, and then I qualified for the 200. So I was very, very blessed to be able to run two events at nationals. I didn't even know I was eligible for the time. My dad put my time in without even telling me. And then one day he was like, "Oh, would you want to run at nationals?" I was like, "Oh, there's no way I'm fast enough." He's like, "No, like you are." So that was really cool. It's been a lot to my career. I mean, it's something I'll forever be able to like put on my resume and tell people about, to be with the fastest kid in the country. I I did Adidas Nationals in Virginia Beach. So yeah,
Mhm.
there's three different national track meets. There's the Nike one, Adidas, and New Balance, and I went to the Adidas one, and yeah, it was surreal. Especially, I think I felt so accomplished and proud of myself because it was not my main sport. I mean, I was warming up, getting ready, and these kids are going on to run in college, and it wasn't like it was like a side quest for me, but I was like, oh
Mhm.
wow, like lacrosse is my main sport. So yeah, I was definitely so blessed to be there.
Yeah. And I've always looked at track as it's one of those sports where you're making what people would look at from the outside as a small stride, but it's a very big thing in the track world. Like you can run your 55 and you can cut a tenth of a second off of your time. And people may look at it and be like, oh, that's just 1/10 of a but that's huge. And especially in that big of a distance. So what is something that you're able to use and what did you take away from knowing that a sport that you're playing, making small gains over an extended period of time? What did that teach you about being able to stay focused on the bigger picture and believing in the process?
Um, I would say that I felt like if I could compete in a track meet, I could genuinely do anything, because track was so mental, and I don't think people understand, like it's really just you out there.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, you're part of a track team, and in high school, you're trying to get points for your team. But when you're down in the blocks and they have the gun go off, it's really just you out there. So, I mean, I think I would just say that it taught me so much, because I felt like it just made me stronger mentally as an athlete, and even translated over to lacrosse. Like I was like, wow, if I can do this, like I can do anything. I mean, the track meets indoor indoors were just crazy. It was super loud. Everyone in track, they have a certain cockiness to them, especially the sprinters. So it was definitely a
Hmm.
different world for me than lacrosse. Lacrosse is not like that. And I think it just helped me become tougher and made me believe in myself, especially again with it being my second sport. And yeah, it just helped me believe that the sky is the limit for me in sports.
And it is. And I apologize because this question just came to mind based off what you just said. And you gave such a really good answer that I want to extend on that. You mentioned how the track, basically you in the blocks by yourself, but you're earning points for your team. Whereas you also play lacrosse, where that's literally your team is there with you the entire time. What did participating in an individual, so to speak, sport like track teach you about teamwork that you were able to help use as you go onto the lacrosse field?
I think it's just the way that I talk to myself in track. I try to bring that to our team, especially now that I'm an upperclassman and I'm in more of a leadership role where I'm trying to bring up the underclassmen, especially the freshmen. With track, there's no hiding. There's like no such thing as a scared track runner. That's not a thing. So I think track helped me build my confidence, and then especially this year, like I said, with being an upperclassman, that helps me instill it into my teammates. Like when I hear my teammates like talk bad about themselves or saying that like you can't do something, I feel like the drive that I had that I learned in track helped me bring it to a team space for lacrosse.
And that's one thing that a lot of people they look at it like you said, it is just you in the block. So for the most part, it is individual, and that cross training that you have to do for one sport, if you do it correctly, it's going to help you for both sports. You know, that again, it's track speed. You need that in lacrosse, right?
Mm-hmm.
That getting out of your blocks, those first couple steps, that helps you in lacrosse as well. So how were you able to kind of, like you said, in your off season of the summer season, you were doing your lacrosse. How were you able to train for both at the same time, but not take away from the other sport while you were training?
Um, my training for track was always going to be more intense than my training for lacrosse. So I kind of just used that for my training for lacrosse. It was honestly perfect because I was like killing two birds with one stone. Like I was staying in shape for lacrosse, but I was also training for track. I mean, training for track in the summer is genuinely something different. It's a whole nother grind to be on that hot track in like the middle of July. Um, so like those were like my grind intense workouts, and that I kind of just let that fuel me for lacrosse. And then because I did indoor track, and then lacrosse was in the spring, I didn't have to do really any extra running to prepare for my spring season because I was already running,
Mhm.
which was really nice. But my senior year, when I made nationals, I actually had a crazy crossover of lacrosse and track where we were coming up on our first scrimmage for lacrosse, and I had to go to nationals, and I was trying to figure out how to navigate that for to tell my lacrosse coach because my as you know, like our lacrosse team, especially for public school, but genuinely around the country, we're a powerhouse, like known school for lacrosse. And that year, I was starting, and we were gonna have a big year. And our first scrimmage, we were playing a private school, Glenelg Country School, and they're I wouldn't say a rival, but they're a good school. They're filled with a bunch of Division 1 athletes as well, and I was like, "Ooh, how do I break this to him?"
You're going to be shorthanded today, coach.
But thank God, I don't know how the scrimmage date got moved. So I was able to make both, and it was amazing. But yeah, I actually have never had too much trouble balancing them because they, like I said, I think they translate, and the seasons matched up pretty well.
Yeah. So again, like I said, you're playing, Division One lacrosse at High Point University. I went through this process with basketball, but I know that your experience would be different. So can you tell me about your recruiting process? Or how'd you ultimately end up at High Point University?
So for lacrosse, you're not allowed to get recruited before September 1st of your junior year. So everything leading up to that was like the biggest moment ever for me. Like my summer from my sophomore year going into my junior year, coaches like aren't allowed to talk to you, but suddenly you have all these coaches lined up on your sideline for your club tournaments, and you're you probably know you're emailing left and right, and you're visiting schools. So it was it was probably a little more stressful than it needed to be. But I September 1st hits, and I have a bunch of schools coaches that texted me, Division 1, 2, and 3, and High Point texted me on September 1st, and it's funny because High Point used to be a rival of Liberty, which is where my sister played. So I never really thought about going here until I got invited to a camp. And I went to the camp. I think I got the text on September 1st, went to the camp late October, and I showed out. And then one of the coaches came to my game at this tournament, and our team was playing awful. Our team was playing terrible. I wasn't playing well. It was like not looking good, and we all knew like college coaches were there. And by the grace of God, she came back the next day, and I had like the best game of like my life. And she texted me and called me and was like, I was so impressed the way you were able to change the channel from one day to the next, and like that's the kind of players that we need. And so yeah, I think I had another visit, and I like what the coach's values were. I love the school. High Point is an insane school. If you look up the campus, it's unreal. So yeah, I think the core values of this school and my coaches, and then the support from my family just landed me here in the right place.
Yeah, you said the support of your family. Did your sister support you since you were
She
going to the rival?
still does. It wasn't until maybe last year I saw her wear a High Point shirt, though.
That was gonna be my next question. Has she
Yeah,
been to any High Point Liberty games, and which sideline did she stand on, and what shirt did she wear?
she's she's. It's funny because we've played them now in the past 2 years. We've played them three times, once in the fall and then twice in the spring. And I think last year when we played them, she was in Liberty gear, but this year she was in High Point. I know. Isn't that funny?
Well, I will say. So I want to back up a little bit. So I thank you for thinking that during my recruitment I had access to email. I'm way older than that. So, yeah, no, don't know anything about. Yeah, we got phone calls on the house phone. That phone that was on the wall, it rang and you had to pick it up. So, but no, but again, like you said, so hearing your journey, and it just shows the testament to being able to rebound from it. You like you said, that mental toughness that you built. A lot of times, you're in doing this. I talk to a lot of coaches, and I asked them what are some things they're looking for, in kids when they're recruiting them. And a lot of things that I hear is the coach wants to see you play multiple times. So to hear that coach came back, is just it kind of reiterates that. But when they say what they want to do is they want to see you in a good game where your team is supposed to win. They want to see you in a bad game where your team is not supposed to win because they want to see how do you act. When you get subbed out and you're losing, are you arguing with the referees? Are you arguing with teammates? And then they want to see you in a tough game. So it normally that's kind of the procedure that you're going to see for a lot of coaches, and the fact that you were able to rebound that next game is just a testament to all the work that you put in, the muscle memory that you built, and the player that you are. And the coach was able to realize that, in just 2 visits. So that's
Yeah.
very awesome to hear. So, but again, this is one of my first few introductions into the lacrosse world. So learning that they can't even I deal with on the basketball side down here. I deal with a lot of kids, and I have kids talking about they want to get these scholarship offers as a freshman so they can post it on their social media and everything. But I never understood that in lacrosse they couldn't even talk to you until you're already a junior. And I've got
Yeah.
kids down here trying to get exposure, and their biggest concern is getting exposure in middle school,
Hmm.
right? And instead of actually focusing on the development part of the process that they need to have to be the best that they can be by the time they get to when a coach is going to seriously consider them, they're worried about trying to get in front of people right now when they're not a finished product. And and you see it. And again, you've lived it, and I'm glad that your sister finally came over and she put on the purple, instead of the blue and red. So like I said, different kind of day and age now, with the college landscape. You're in the world with, and I don't know how much it affects lacrosse, but like the transfer portal and everything like that. I know we talked a little bit. My freshman year, I didn't play much. And you get a lot of kids nowadays that are be in that situation, and the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna go try to find the greener grass on the other side. But you kinda got through it as a freshman. You eventually you got onto the field, right? So, was there a moment when you realized that, "Hey, this is gonna be a lot tougher than like the high school level?" I was one of the better players on my team, but everybody at the college level was one of the best players on their team. How did that change your mentality as you were preparing for your first season? And what did that teach you about overall your role, your growth, and just your identity?
Um, it's a really good question. It was very humbling to say the least. I feel like everyone usually has those moments your freshman year. I remember our very first conditioning day. We were running hills, and I was like beating everyone still, and I was like, oh, like nice, like I'm still like the fastest in college. And then I realized our coach, there was another fast girl on our team, and our coach was like organizing the conditioning session so that we would be the last two. And it's so funny because I'm really close with her to this day. But we were running up this hill, and I was running as fast as I can. I'm pumping my arms as fast as I can, and I lost. And that's not something that was very familiar with me because I was like, wow, I've always been the fastest on my team. And I come here, and now there's someone faster than me. And I was like, that's interesting. And then we start to get into practices, and like the shots that went in high school are suddenly getting saved, and like the everyone's defense, like their footwork's a little faster, and the ball's moving a lot quicker. So yeah, I had a lot of that was a specific humbling moment that I can remember, but especially my freshman year, I had a lot of humbling moments, but they've definitely built me up to the person that I am now. I think that I realized pretty early on that it wasn't just going to happen by itself. I wasn't going to magically get playing time. Nothing was going to be handed to me. So I really honed in, especially in my sophomore year. I think I started to realize it more how important film is, how important just like attention to detail, conversations in practice, outside of practice, the meetings that you have with your coaches, just every single little detail is what's going to get you to your big end goal. And all I needed was an opportunity. So I'm like studying film, I'm having like these small conversations, paying more attention to detail. I was like, okay, all I need is an opportunity. And I got my opportunity. I played a little my freshman year, but I feel like I got my big opportunity last year, my sophomore year, when we were playing in our rival game against Mercer, our regular season game. And I got in, And up until that point, I don't think anyone knew that I could like go off and have a game. And I went in, I had 2 goals and an assist, and we ended up losing the game. But it like brought us back from a huge deficit, and just like a spark. And like ever since then, I've kind of been known as like the spark on my team. So yeah, I just feel like those small details and those moments where I failed and had a lot of doubts when I was younger brought me to the person that I am now.
And I will tell you, you're right in the beginning. I told you there's somebody on a campus going through that same thing. You were not alone in that experience. Again, I had it. I almost told you how many years ago. I had that experience again my freshman year. That was the first time in, and I couldn't tell you how long I played a game, and I didn't even get in the game. And I'm just sitting there on the side. I didn't take my warm up off the whole day, and I was just like, what is going on? Like you said, you get to that college level, and kids are faster, kids are bigger, kids are stronger. Your biggest you thought your biggest concern was going to be waking up on time for class and figuring out how to do laundry and where's my meal coming from? How do I get to the cafeteria? And you get on that field, and those eyes get really big, really fast. But like you said, it's helped you because you built that growth. You dug in, you stuck with it, and now like you said, you're the upperclassman leading those freshmen, and you recognize when those freshmen are having that wide-eyed moment too. You can go to them and you have the experience to tell them like, hey, we've all done it. We've all been through here. This is what you need. Don't give up. Keep working. If you have questions, talk to me. And that's just how, again, that nature of that teamwork, those responsibilities of being that leader that you gained, and just from those experiences as the young one.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I we always say on my team, the obstacle is the way, and that's like my favorite saying because,
Mm-hmm.
like, genuinely, how are you going to get better without failing, without those
Mm-hmm.
hard, like, dark moments where you didn't think you were gonna get out of them? So I'm still learning that to this day. I mean, I'm a junior, and I still have to tell myself, okay, the obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way.
Yeah. And here's my advice to you, right? You said the word failure. This is what I like to try to teach the kids that I work with. It's not really failure unless you quit. You just found ways that didn't work, right? So now I know not to do that way, but failure just seems permanent to me. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So, but as long as you're still coming, you're still showing up, going to practice every day, it's not a failure. You will eventually find the path that works. So that's one thing I always try to really stress, because the power of words, sometimes, you hear a word like failure, you're thinking, you get down, but you're just like, all right, that didn't work. Let me try something different now.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about it, and the different lifestyle that you have to lead when you get into college. Like I said, you get there now. You got, I mean, how many hours you taking this semester?
I think I have 16 credits.
All right,
Yeah.
so you got 16 credit hours. You got study table, you got practice, individual workouts, weight training, traveling. You got all this stuff that your time is being required from. You got to balance all these different balls at the same time. No pun intended with the cross. But so I know time management is something that's important and that you work through and value daily. How do you make sure that you get everything done on time?
I live and die with my planner. If I don't write it down, like it's probably not happening. So, like genuinely. But yeah, it's you kind of just have to go with the flow most days, like and get your homework done genuinely whenever you can. I mean, we are about to do film at 7:30 in the morning, and girls are on their laptop finishing essays. Like, you might have to wake up early. You might have to go to bed later. And it's the sacrifice you were talking about in the beginning. When you're younger and you have to say like no to like a birthday party, it comes right back
Hmm.
around when you get to college. Like
Hmm.
you might have to say no to like going out to dinner with someone, and it's just a constant thing. But I think me personally, I love the structure. So I feel like that's one thing that keeps me going. I never really see it as like a a sacrifice or like or something I have to turn down because I I first of all, this is all optional. Me being a
Mm-hmm.
student athlete, so um, it's not like anyone's forcing me to do it. So yeah, I love it honestly. Like there's beauty in the chaos, and I think it's gonna help me later on in life, being just having that time management and dealing with a lot of things at once. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it comes into handy because at some point in time in your life, the career will come to an end, and that's when again this real world kicks in. There's going to be responsibilities that come at you from everywhere, and that's why I say these lessons that you learn on the field, you'll live with them for the rest of your life, and you're going to find yourself 25 years from now being like, this is why I was always having to make sure I was somewhere on time because it's important to be on time. Because I didn't want to run when I was in college for being late, but now I'm on time and now I'm taking care of everything. It's giving me the most amount of time to do what I got to do, and yeah, so very 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 true. So. All right. Tell me about it. So I know we talked about you did make your college debut as a true freshman. It may not have been like the moment that you wanted it to be. And that's sometimes tough for people who have been playing and being a star on their teams. But how were you able to stay focused and keep performing in practice while you were working toward earning that opportunity that you talked about?
Um, I think I was able to stay focused because I thought about everything I dreamed of as a kid. And that's what kind of like kept me going and pushing, just like reminding myself like this is the moment that I wanted my whole life, was to step foot on the field and to just like stay present in that moment. I have a lot of big dreams in my life still, but like just appreciating every moment. I remember, it's funny, the school that we play tomorrow was the very first game. We play Gardner Webb tomorrow. It was the very first game that I got into, and I think I played like 2 minutes and like 30 seconds, and like I like had two choices. I could like stand there and be like upset that I only got 2 minutes and 30 seconds, or I could appreciate the moment and be like, oh my gosh, like this is the starting point. So like
Mhm.
just focusing on that and grounding myself in the present, appreciating everything, kept me focused.
Yeah. And I know I went the other route, right? My second game of my career in college, I got in for about 45 seconds. And I was very mad. We actually flew down to Birmingham, Alabama, and on the whole flight the way back, I was so mad because the team won by 20, right? So it's hard to be, you're a bad teammate if you're sitting there and you're mad because you didn't get in, but your team won. And that was one of the, like I said, one of those hard things for me. Um, but yeah, like I said, it's you can go out there and you can do what I did, or you can go out there and you can do what you did, and that is very commendable. That especially at as young of age as you are at that time, 18, 19 years old, to be able to understand that, especially nowadays. Uh, so as we get back into your lacrosse team, I believe it was last year you all won the Big South regular season championship. Yep. So now new season begins this year. You got to do it all over again. What's helping drive your group to stay focused and present instead of just relying on last year's success and being like, oh, we've got this in the bag?
Um, this year, I would say we've had a lot of ups and downs with our team. So, I mean, like I said, the obstacle is the way is right in the front of our mind. We've definitely had some losses that we shouldn't have taken, and I think one of the messages that our leaders have put on our team, I think this was back in maybe February or March earlier in the season. Um, they were saying when we had a tough loss, they were like, "Let it hurt now, because it's gonna hurt even more in May." And May is our championship weekend, which will be next weekend actually. So I feel like our team put that at the front of their mind, was like, let's do the hard now so we can just show what we have. We can execute and put it all out there in May. And I mean, just taking every practice like it's a game. That's been another big theme for our team this year. There shouldn't. I mean, it's a Division 1 sport. There's no casual days. Everybody's body hurts, and yeah, everyone knows it's hot outside, and so just grinding through and getting through and lifting each other up. It's not easy. Like I said, we're about to take our final exam soon, so everything is kind of coming at you at once. And we're about to go into championship weekend. There can be a lot of distractions, but yeah, we have to keep each other focused and lift each other up to achieve our end goal.
And that's very true. You guys, your schedule just coincides with the worst time of year because you got finals to prepare for and everything. But I like hearing the message and just understanding. One thing that I talk with, again, the kids that I work with is something that you just said. Every practice needs to be at game speed, right? There's no drill a coach can do to teach you effort and heart and wanting to win, right? That's something you just either have or you don't, and you bring it. And if you're sitting there and you're going to try to coast through practice, like you said, that opportunity that you earned, that opportunity won't be there. Where is y'all's conference tournament at this year?
It is to be determined, actually,
Oh,
because
y'all do it by seeding.
we do it by seeding. So
Yeah.
I will know at the end of the week, actually.
So again, like I said, I wanted to just kind of dive in a little bit about your background, learn a little bit about your cross training with your sports, and just highlight some of the different achievements and everything that you have. Again, I think you're killing it. I love hearing your answers are far beyond your age. You can tell that you've experienced this and that you've learned from all your different experiences and games and teams and all of that. I think you're heading in the right direction, but I do want to speed things up. All right, we're going to pick up the pace a little bit here. I want to do just kind of some quick hitters. I'm going to give you two options. You pick one of them. First thing that comes to mind, no wrong answer. Just tell me how you feel. I may ask you a question. Just give me your first answer that comes to mind. Again, no wrong answers. The only rule I have is if I give you two options, you just can't say both. Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Now, so if you look at getting ready for a game, do you have music on or are you locked in silence?
Music on.
All right. What's on your playlist?
I would say like J. Cole, um, Drake. Those those two.
That's your
J. Cole and
go-to.
Drake, yeah, come to mind first. Yeah.
All right. What do you think builds a team more, team bonding or team competition?
Team competition.
What advice would you give a young high school athlete trying to make it to college lacrosse?
Put your head down and work. Leave the distractions out of the way. You can do whatever the fun that you're planning on doing. Then you can do it later in life. Put your head down and work right now.
I love it. You may have kind of hit on this earlier, but what was the moment when you actually realized that you could play at and you belonged at the college level, whether it was in high school or whether it didn't happen until you got to college?
Um, I would say the Mercer game
Okay.
last year. Yeah, when I had my 3 points.
Okay. So you talk about your 3 points, assist or a goal. Which one?
I had 2 goals and an assist.
No, no, I know. Well, I'm asking you, which one do you prefer?
A goal.
The goal. All right.
Yeah.
Hardest hit that you've ever given anybody, and its siblings count.
Hardest hit that I've ever like like physically or like
In the field of play.
oh, okay. Maybe one of my teammates actually this week. I
Oh wow.
yeah.
Hardest hit you've ever received in play.
In high school, I took a stick straight to my like mouth, I think it was, and actually got knocked off my
Hmm.
feet. Yeah,
Oh wow. Yeah. See,
that was
that's
crazy.
why I play indoor sports without sticks. I don't like being hit. All righty. What's the most goals your team has ever scored in the game at any level?
This year, 26 goals against Longwood.
Okay. It's the most goals you've ever scored in one game.
I want to say 4 goals, maybe in club lacrosse. Yeah.
All right. What are some of the best ways that you can build your field IQ?
Watching film and watching people in your position who are on other teams.
Okay. Who would you most want to play against school-wise that you haven't had a chance to play against yet?
I would say Maryland. Yeah.
Go back home.
Hmm.
All righty. I'm going to do a little game with you here. All right. You got 3 options. You can enjoy it short term, you can cherish it, keep it forever, or you got to get rid of it. Your first goal as a youth, your first goal in high school, or your first goal in college. Which one are you going to enjoy short term, cherish long term, or get rid of?
First goal as a youth, probably get rid of because I don't remember it. But college first goal, I would say cherish it because my parents were able to see it. And then enjoy it would be high school.
Awesome. Yeah. So like I said, I wanted to just kind of pick your brain for a little bit, just kind of put you on the spot, see how good those reflexes are. All right. So I appreciate you doing that. But like I said, this project that I work on, again, I'm able to do it because of a lot of people that I work with. So every episode I have one dedicated sponsor. So today's episode is proudly sponsored by Louisville Legends. Louisville Legends is a basketball training company built with purpose and intention from the ground up. Their philosophy is simple but powerful. Development first, scholarship over trophies. At Louisville Legends, the focus isn't just about winning games today. It's about preparing athletes for long-term success on and off the court, the field. Through their intentional coaching and structured training, they emphasize skill development, discipline, basketball IQ, and the character it takes to compete at the next level. Their mission goes beyond drills and workouts. Louisville Legends is committed to helping athletes create real opportunities for their future, whether that means earning scholarships, developing leadership skills, or learning the work ethic required to succeed in life. Because at Louisville Legends, they believe in building athletes the right way, investing in futures, not just wins. To learn more about Louisville Legends and how they are helping develop the next generation of athletes, connect with them online and on social media to see how they're shaping the future of the game. Louisville Legends, development first, futures over trophies. All right, Sarah. So again, I appreciate you coming on. I know you got to get ready for your big game tomorrow. I know you got to get ready for your finals coming up. So again, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. And you have a new fan. I'm gonna be following you even more now. So I want to see how the game goes tomorrow. And I just want you to continue doing everything you're doing. I appreciate, you giving me the opportunity to talk with you. And again, I just keep working and keep grinding. You have the right mentality. You understand it. And that's something that a lot of people don't have. And I can't wait to see everything that you're going to do, both on the field and off, because again, I know you said you have things that you still want to achieve, and I'm going to be here supporting you, and I want to see them happen. So whenever I do this, I always give my guests the opportunity to just kind of, tell a little bit about themselves. You can shout out anybody you want, or your social media if people can find you or follow you. So you got a game tomorrow, upcoming games, what everything that you have. So I want to give you the opportunity to just kind of take the floor really quick.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is my first podcast that I've ever done, so this is amazing. And like you said, if you could just touch one person's life, you've done it. And I hope that my message can reach someone out there. But I just want to thank my family because without them, none of this is possible. And thank God too. And tomorrow we have a game at 4 p.m. at Gardner Webb. It will be on ESPN Plus, so everyone should tune in.
Yeah. All right. And again, we'll be watching. So again, I appreciate you doing that. I thank my sponsor, Louisville Legends. But Sarah, awesome. I know you said it was your first podcast. I couldn't tell. Again, I think you're very insightful, and I loved taking a little bit of your time to learn a little bit about you. So as we wrap up, to the audience, I want to thank you for taking the time to just spend a couple of minutes with us, learning a little bit about Sarah's journey. Let me talk a little bit about my journey in there, just kind of seeing how some of these roads intersect. If you enjoyed the conversation, please like and subscribe. That's how we continue to grow this. That's how we continue to get the message to more and more people. Beyond the Game, More Stories, the podcast is available wherever you get your content. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Amazon Music, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. Anywhere they're delivering content, we have it out there to give it to you. Or something that you heard from Sarah today you felt would touch somebody, I ask that you forward this episode over to them. Or if you know somebody who just likes podcasts or just likes sports or storytelling, I ask you forward it over to them. So as we get ready to get out of here, again, Sarah, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I wish you all the best of luck and success. I'll be watching and following you. And as we head out of here, everybody, please realize, that at some point in time, the games are going to come to an end. The ball will stop bouncing, the goals will stop coming, but the lessons that you take from these opportunities, you'll carry on with you for a lifetime. So until next time, we'll see you beyond the game.